The Meiji Restoration, occurring in 1868, was a crucial event in Japanese history that marked the end of the Tokugawa shogunate and the restoration of imperial rule under Emperor Meiji. It initiated a period of rapid modernization and westernization that transformed Japan into a major world power by the early 20th century.
Background. Before the Meiji Restoration, Japan was ruled by the Tokugawa shogunate, a feudal military government that had been in power since 1603. During this period, Japan followed a policy of sakoku, isolation, limiting foreign influence and restricting trade with most countries. While this brought internal stability, it also meant Japan lagged behind Western nations in terms of military and industrial development. By the mid-19th century, pressures from Western powers, especially the United States, pushed Japan to open its ports for trade.
In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry arrived with a fleet of American ships, demanding Japan open up to foreign commerce. This culminated in the signing of the Treaty of Kanagawa in 1854, ending Japan's isolation. The unequal treaties imposed by Western powers, combined with internal dissatisfaction, weakened the shogunate's legitimacy and set the stage for change.
Causes of the Meiji Restoration. Internal dissent. There was growing resentment among the lower-ranking samurai, merchants, and farmers over the rigid feudal system and the shogunate's inability to deal with foreign threats. Western pressure, the arrival of Western powers, and the unequal treaties exposed Japan's military and technological weaknesses, creating a sense of urgency to modernize. Regional power struggles, powerful domains such as Satsuma and Joshu were critical in organizing resistance to the Tokugawa shogunate. They advocated for a return to imperial rule and played a key role in orchestrating the restoration. Restoration of imperial rule. Many reformers called for the restoration of political power to the emperor, who had been largely a symbolic figurehead under the shogunate. This became the rallying cry for those opposed to Tokugawa rule.
Key events of the Meiji Restoration.
Overthrow of the Tokugawa shogunate. In 1867, the last shogun, Tokugawa Yoshinobu, resigned under pressure, leading to the formal restoration of power to the emperor. In 1868, the Boshin War broke out, a civil conflict between forces loyal to the shogunate and those supporting the emperor. The imperial forces, led by Satsuma and Choshu samurai, ultimately prevailed. Charter Oath of 1868. Shortly after the Meiji Emperor came to power, the new government issued the Charter Oath, which outlined the goals of the new regime, including the pursuit of knowledge and modernization, the establishment of representative government, and the end of feudal restrictions. Abolition of the feudal system. The Meiji government dismantled the feudal system, replacing it with a centralized state. The domains, shan, controlled by regional daimyo, were replaced by prefectures governed directly by the national government. The samurai class, which had traditionally held power, lost their privileges and stipends.
Reforms and modernization. The Meiji government embarked on a series of sweeping reforms aimed at transforming Japan into a modern, industrialized nation capable of standing on equal footing with Western powers. Political reforms. Japan adopted a modern, centralized government. The 1889 Meiji Constitution established a constitutional monarchy where the emperor held significant power, but was also subject to a new parliamentary system, the Diet. Economic modernization. The government promoted rapid industrialization, including the construction of railways, telegraph lines, and modern factories. Western technology was imported, and new industries like shipbuilding, textiles, and arms manufacturing were developed. Military reforms. The Meiji leaders created a modern conscripted military based on Western models. The samurai class was replaced with a national army drawn from all social classes. By the late 19th century, Japan's military was strong enough to defeat China in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894-1895, and Russia in the Russo-Japanese War, 1904-1905. Social and educational reforms. The feudal class system was dismantled, and all Japanese citizens were declared equal under the law. The government introduced compulsory education, ensuring that the population was literate and capable of contributing to the country's modernization. Western ideas in science, technology, and even fashion were widely adopted. Cultural westernization. The Meiji era saw significant cultural changes as Japan looked to Western nations for inspiration in areas such as architecture, literature, and fashion. The slogan "Civilization and Enlightenment" was used to promote the adoption of Western values and customs.
Impact of the Meiji Restoration. Rise of Japan as a world power. By the early 20th century, Japan had become the first Asian country to fully industrialize and compete with Western powers. Its military successes, particularly the defeat of Russia, solidified its status as a major power. End of feudalism. The Meiji Restoration ended centuries of feudal rule, paving the way for the creation of a modern nation-state with a centralized government. Imperial expansion. With its newfound strength, Japan began pursuing imperial ambitions, expanding its influence into neighboring countries such as Korea and Taiwan. Cultural blending. While Japan embraced many Western ideas, it also maintained and redefined its own cultural identity. The Meiji period saw a blending of Western innovations with traditional Japanese values, creating a unique cultural synthesis.
Conclusion. The Meiji Restoration was a transformative period that changed Japan from an isolated feudal society into a modern, industrialized nation. Its success in modernization and imperial expansion laid the foundation for Japan's emergence as a major global power, with lasting impacts on both Japanese society and the broader international community. Thank you for watching the video, The Meiji Restoration, provided by History and Current Events. This is Sarah, Lily, Gina, and Tony have contributed so far as narrators. Thank you.